My feelings can't explain why after all this time you stay on my mind.
Kamusta mga ka-Future CPA? I am Dali Sally.
I am Audrey Plaza.
And we're from National University. Nagbabalik na naman kami para magbigay ng panibagong kaalaman.
At ang topic natin ngayon ay tungkol sa
Direct Financing Lease. There are two classifications of finance lease. On the part of the lessor, a finance lease is either a direct financing lease or a sales type lease. What is the main distinction of the two? In direct financing lease, there is an absence of a manufacturer or a dealer, while in sales type lease, there is a presence of a dealer. Next, in direct financing lease, it recognizes interest income, while in sales type lease, it recognizes two, interest income and gross profit. So now we will focus on direct financing lease. Ano nga ba ang direct financing lease? Sa direct financing lease, the lessor is actually engaged in the financing business. Thus, a direct financing lease is an arrangement between the financing entity and the lessee. No dealer profit is recognized because the fair value of the asset is also equal to the cost of the asset.
So there are four accounting considerations in direct financing lease. First, the gross investment. This is equal to the gross rentals for the entire lease term plus the amount of the residual value, whether guaranteed or unguaranteed. Second is the net investment in the lease. This is equal to the cost of the asset plus the initial direct cost if any. So third is the unearned interest income. This is computed by getting the difference between the gross investment and the net investment, which is mentioned a while ago. So the last one is the initial direct cost, which is added to the cost of the asset to get the net investment. Subsequently, having initial direct cost will reduce the amount of interest income in the lease.
At para mas mabilis niyong maintindihan, naghanda kami ng maikling roleplay about lease. So let's go! Miss Audrey Plaza? Ay, ako nga. Ako po ang representative ng Dali Company at hawak ko na po ang kontrata na pipirmahan po ninyo maya-maya. Uulitin ko lamang po ang mga nakasaad dito. Ang cost po ng machinery na nilist nyo sa amin ay 113,724. Ang annual rental po nito, payable at the end of each year, ay 30,000. Ang lease term po ay kagaya lang ng useful life, which is 5 years. At ang implicit interest rate po na napagkasunduan ng dalawang kumpanya ay 10%. So, pwede nyo pong i-double check?
Sige po. So, bali po yung cost is 113,724. Tapos yung annual rental payable po ay payable at the end of each year, which is 30,000.
Yes po.
And yung lease term po ay 5 years. And yung interest rate ay 10%.
Yes po.
So,
Kung okay na po, pirmahan nyo na po.
Sige. Okay na po.
Thank you po.
Thank you po.
Thank you po.
So, base sa play kanina,
ang cost of equipment or the machinery is equal to 113,724. Ang annual rental payable at the end of each year ay 30,000. Ang lease term, which is also the same in the useful life, ay 5 years. Ang implicit interest rate ay 10%. Since ito ay annual rental at the end of each year, kinakailangan natin ng present value of ordinary annuity of 1 at 10% for 5 period, which is equal to 3.7908. So, ang una natin gagawin ay kukunin natin ang unearned interest income. So, paano? First is the gross rental, which is equal to the annual rental na 30,000 multiply by the lease term or the useful life, which is 5. Then the gross rental would be 150,000. Next is the net investment. Paano natin makukuha ang net investment? Sinabi kanina na ang net investment ay equal to the cost of the equipment. So the net investment is 113,724. So, dito sa dalawa, ang difference nila ay unearned interest income. Which is 36,726. So, nakuha natin ang unearned interest income. Paano natin i-journalize ang transaction on the date of lease? So, we have here debit, lease receivable, 150,000, which is the gross rental, the equipment, 113,724, and of course, the unearned interest income, which is the difference of the two, 36,726. And what is the journal entry in the annual payment? So we have debit cash, the annual payment or the annual rental, which is 30,000, and credit lease receivable. Mababawasan ang lease receivable dahil nagbayad na ang lessee. So that's it.
The unearned interest income of 36,276 is recognized over the lease term following the effective interest method as follows. So on January 1, 2019, the present value of the lease receivable is 113,724 and the annual payment is equal to 30,000 payable at the end of each year. So para makuha natin yung value ng interest on December 31, 2019, i-multiply natin yung current present value ng lease receivable sa given implicit interest rate. So, 113,724 times 10% is equal to 11,372. And para makuha natin yung value ng principal sa December 31, 2019, i-deduct lang yung annual payment sa calculated value ng interest. So, 30,000 minus 11,372 and that would be equal to 18,628. And para makuha yung present value nung lease receivable, i-deduct lang yung previous present value sa principal. So, 113,724 minus 18,628 is equal to 95,096. Tapos ganun lang, paulit-ulit lang yung way ng pag-compute. So, for example, sa 95,096, i-multiply lang ulit sa interest rate. So, that would give us 9,510. Tapos, i-deduct lang yun sa 30,000. Makukuha natin yung principal value which is 20,490. Tapos, i-deduct na natin to sa previous present value ng lease receivable which is 95,096 minus 20,490 is equal to 74,606. Tapos, ayun, hanggang sa umabot ka sa dulo ng lease term. Ayun. Recognition of interest income. In recognizing interest income, the effective interest method is used. IFRS 16, paragraph 75 states that the lessor shall recognize finance income over the lease term, which is 5 years dun sa example natin, based on a pattern reflecting a constant periodic rate of return. For example, 10% dun sa problem natin, which is the given implicit interest rate on the lessor's net investment in the lease. So yun nga, 'di ba, kapag nagko-compute tayo ng interest income for the period, ang basis natin is yung current value or amount nung net investment. So for December 31, 2019, we would debit an earned interest income of 11,372 and credit interest income of 11,372. And same goes for the next periods to recognize the interest income. So, paano naman kapag may initial direct cost? So, given the same amount sa problem kanina, but this time with initial direct cost, this cost should be added to the cost of the machinery to get the net investment. So, net investment will now be equal to 113,724 plus 6,057. Net investment will now be 119,781,000. So, this increase in net investment will reduce the unearned interest income. So, to get the unearned interest income, should determine the gross rentals, which is computed a while ago as 150,000. Deduct the net investment of 119,781. The difference between these two will be equal to the unearned interest income. Which is equal to 30,219. So this increase in net investment will result in a deduction of the unearned interest income. So that means that the initial direct cost will also result in a reduce of the implicit interest rate. So we should get the new interest rate. So knowing that our old interest rate is 10%, we should get the new one by trial and error. So since there is a reduction, we should consider interest rate lower than 10%. So let us try 9%. So the PV of ordinary annuity of 1 at 9% for 5 periods is 3.8897. Multiply this by the annual rental of 30,000. This will be equal to 116,691, which is not equal to our net investment. So let us not consider this one. So let us try 8%. So the PV of ordinary annuity of 1 at 8% for 5 periods is computed as 3.9927 times the annual rental of 30,000. This will now be equal to 119,781. So we can see now that the net investment and the computed amount of the present value of ordinary annuity 1 at 8% for 5 periods are equal to one another. So we can now conclude that the new implicit interest rate is 8%. So to journalize these transactions, we should have a debit of equipment by an amount of the initial direct cost, which is 6,057, credited by a cash account of 6,057. And to recognize the lease receivable, which is equal to the gross rental, so this will be 150,000, and the new amount of the equipment is now 119,781. 781. And we should also credit the unearned interest income by 30,219. 30,219. So this new implicit interest rate will now be used for the table of amortization. So yung pinaka main issue dito is yung initial direct cost, and yun nga, i-treat siya as an addition to the cost of the equipment to get the net investment in the lease, and yung amount na makukuha natin ay yung i-recognize natin sa assets held under a financial lease, as IFRS 16 paragraph 67 states that lessor shall recognize assets held under a financial lease as a receivable at an amount equal to the net investment in the lease.
This is another example, which is a transaction with residual value. So this transaction, the equipment will revert to the lessor at the end of the lease term. So the problem is the determination of the annual rental, because as you can see, there is no annual rental. The annual rental is payable at the end of each year, and the present value, which is relevant in this problem, is the present value of 1 at 10% for 5 years, which is 0.6209, and the present value of ordinary annuity of 1 at 10% for 5 years, which is 3.7908. So, para makahanap ang annual rental, we have here the cost of the equipment, 119,933. Then, kunin natin ang present value ng residual value. So, the present value of residual value is 6,209. Paano nakuha to? The residual value, which is 10,000, multiply by this 0.6209. So, deduct, and we will have now 113,724, which is the net investment to be recovered from rental. This amount from the net investment will be divided from 3.7908. 113,724 divide to the present value of ordinary annuity. We will now have 30,000, which is the annual rental. Then, we will now find the unearned interest income. First, the gross rental, which is equal to 150,000, because annual rental with 30,000 multiply by the lease term or the useful life, 5. Then, the residual value, add it, 10,000. So, we now have gross investment, which is 160,000. Less the cost of equipment, 119,933. Then we now have the unearned interest income of 40,067.
Table of amortization. On January 1, 2019, the present value of our lease receivable is equal to 119,933, and our annual payment is equal to 30,000 payable at the end of each year. Tapos para makompute ulit yung interest at the end of each year, i-multiply lang yung current present value ng lease receivable sa given implicit interest rate which is 10% sa problem natin. So, 119,933 times 10% is equal to 11,933. Deduct this from the annual payment of 30,000 and we would get 18,007. And deduct this principal value from the current present value of the lease receivable and we would get 101,926. And yan na yung present value ng lease receivable at December 31, 2019. Ganun lang ulit, paulit-ulit lang yung way ng pag-compute until at the end of lease term, which is at December 31, 2023, the present value of our lease receivable is equal to 10,000, which is also the value of our residual.
To record the direct financing lease, we have here debit, lease receivable, 160,000, credit equipment, the cost of the equipment, 119,933, and of course credit unearned and interest income, which is 40,067. To record the collection of annual rental, collection, we have here cash, 30,000, annual rental, then lease receivable, 30,000. Nabawasan na ang lease receivable kasi nakatanggap na si lessor ng payment from lessee. And of course, to record the interest income, babawasan ang unearned interest income, and of course, magkakaroon ng interest income na 11,993. This is, will you see this in the amortization of unearned interest income? Kapag nag-expire yung lease, yung equipment ay mababalik na kay lessor. So, whether guaranteed or unguaranteed yung residual value, the entry on the books of the lessor will be the same. Debit, equipment, then credit, lease receivable, which is equal to the residual value, 10,000. This will be the entry when the lease expires.
Kapag ni-revert yung asset held under a finance lease to the lessor, posible magkaroon ng accounting problem kapag yung fair value ng asset na yon ay mas mababa kesa sa residual value. So, under the guaranteed scenario, the lessee will pay for the difference by debiting a cash account. So, under the unguaranteed scenario, the lessors shall recognize a loss for the difference by debiting a loss on finance lease account. So, for the last example, paano naman kapag may transfer of ownership? So, ibig sabihin nun, hindi na ma-revert sa lessor yung nilist niyang asset. So, yung residual value ay completely ignored na. Any given residual value basta will not revert back to the lessor will be completely ignored. So, una muna nga natin hahanapin ay yung annual rental para ma-compute natin yung unearned interest income. So, we need the cost of the equipment. Cost of the equipment, which is 113,724 divided by sa PV of or present value of ordinary annuity of 1 at 10% for 5 periods. So, that would be 3.7908. And the answer would be the value of the annual rental, which is 30,000. So, this is our annual rental. And we can now compute for the unearned interest income. So, to compute for the unearned interest income, let us first determine the gross rentals. So, yung gross rentals, annual rental multiplied by the lease term or the useful life of the asset. So, 30,000 times 5 would be equal to 150,000. Deduct natin yung cost ng equipment. Cost ng equipment, which is 113,724. And any difference of these two will now be equal to unearned interest income. And that would be equal to 36,276. So to journalize these transactions, debit, lease, receivable. Na 150,000 kasi ito din yung gross rentals. 150,000. Tapos credited yung equipment, which is the cost mismo ng equipment, na 113,724. And then yung unearned interest income. Difference nitong dalawa. Bale, ito yun. 36,276. 36,276. And to journalize the annual collection of rentals, syempre, didebit natin yung cash. Kasi nakatanggap ka ng cash na 30,000. Tapos, credit yung lease receivable kasi, ayun nga, nabayaran ka na bawasan na yung receivable mo. 30,000. Ito yung annual collection. Cash tas lease receivable. And to record for the interest income, magde-debit tayo ng unearned interest income. Na for example, dito is 11,372. And mag-credit ng interest income kasi natanggap mo na siya by this amount. 11,372. Ganun, same lang sila ng way ng pag-journalize. The recognition sa una, annual collection, and then yung mag-journalize for the interest income. So, yun na nga. Sana may natutunan kayo. Hanggang sa muli. Paalam!